Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to HealMyTech, helping you read. So alhamdulillah, we're back today with brothers Arshad and Abdul Rahman, and this is day 3. Well, technically it's day 4. We did miss one day of recording, so this is day 4. Okay. Now the plan for this level we're studying is level 1, which I talked about in my previous video. And actually this was Imam Yahya's mention of the whole project. There were 4 levels, level 0, 1, 2 and 3. And inshallah we're working on that, but at the moment this is going to be level 1 with a touch on level 0. Level 0 is going to be complete beginners, qaida, dealing with a bit of makhraj and a bit of sifa. So however, any tajweed course that you do, you always need to start with makhraj and sifa. There is going to be a more advanced makhraj lesson in level 2, inshallah. Okay. Now, what we've decided to do is use Your Tajweed Made Easy, because the book is already available. It's free for everyone to download. We have permission to use it. Alhamdulillah. Jazakallah khairan to the people from loveforquran.com. And I will put a link below for where you can download it. So for today, we're going to start with the first chapter. So inshallah, if we go to our screen, Your Tajweed Made Easy, there is some introduction, etc. There is a table of content, and we're going to follow the structure of the content. Now in our presentation so far, especially at IDC and even on the channel, I have uploaded 10 lessons. We were following the structure of the Quran, from Surah An-Nas to Surah Al-Fil, 10 different tajweed points. And this is for a different audience, but for this course here, for a local course, what we're going to do is we're going to follow the structure of this book. So we're going to complete lessons 1 to, I believe there's about 22 or 25 lessons. We're going to complete that. But every time we come to a specific tajweed rule, we are going to refer back to a surah of the Quran from Juz Amma, to which it is more relevant. It's clear, yeah? Alhamdulillah. Good. Feel free to read the introduction. Mashallah, I do like the beginning. It's quite, colorful, and it's for kids. It says my alphabet. But we're going to skip that for today, and there's a bit of transliteration as well, how to try and pronounce some of these letters, and there's a couple of notes about full mouth letters and some of the similar sounds, and that was a car with some music outside. Okay, but what we're interested today is that first bit, which is on page number 6 of the PDF, and it says my alphabet explained, Makhaarij. Okay, so today's lesson is going to be on Makhaarij Al Huroof, the articulation points of the letters. Makhraj, you can also mean origin or exit point or articulation point. Okay, it says there are 29 letters of the alphabet, and below is the information on how to pronounce each one. Now, technically, the Arabic alphabet consists of 28 letters, unless you also include hamzah. And hamzah has a bit of history. It was not there in the original Arabic language, in the Arabic alphabets. It was introduced later on due to some kind of misunderstandings of where the hamza would start and where the alif. It's to do with alif really. Now the real alif has many forms, as we'll cover later. We have something called hamzatul qata and hamzatul wasl, which we'll cover later. But just so you know, if anyone asks you a question about how many Arabic alphabets are there, you have to be precise. There are 28 Arabic alphabets, but 29 if you include hamza. Okay, but for our level at the moment, we are going to pretend that alif and hamza are exactly the same, no difference. Okay, but inshallah more on that later. Now the explanation of the makhraj in this book is very simple, very loose, I would say. Is not very accurate, but this is because this is not meant to be taken and studied by itself. You're supposed to take this and study with a qualified teacher. A different book which I would recommend if you really want to take it more seriously is, in my opinion, the best tajweed book available in the English language for tajweed. There are other books as well, but in the English language, that's probably the best. It's the most detailed. This is actually what I've studied from. It's called Tajweed Rules of the Quran, and there are 3 parts. This is part 1, and by Karima Carol, and I cannot pronounce the surname. please forgive me, it's Shreprinsky. I don't know if anyone can pronounce this. No. Okay. Again, this book is very detailed, not to be studied by yourself. You must get a teacher. Okay, inshallah. Now, there's a lot of introduction in there which you can read. There's etiquette of the Quran. Feel free to do some reading. I would encourage you to read it at least. If you can get hands on a copy, there are some copies available online. I'm not sure whether it's free. I have a copy which was given for us to use from university, but I am not allowed to share this particular copy. But we'll try to find out if we can get copies which are open source for everyone to share, or if you have to buy it, okay? Or you can buy the hardware copy, inshallah. All right. Now, what we're going to do today is have a look at a diagram. And the diagram, there are various versions of this. I'm pretty sure you've seen this. This is a diagram called the emission points of the letters. If I find the link, I will put it in the description below for you. Okay, there are two categories of articulation points. There are what we call the general articulation points and the specific articulation points. Okay, now in terms of general, there are 5 main areas where we pronounce letters and sounds, and those 5 areas, we'll go through it. From the far right, it's where the sound of the gunna comes. Remember, the nasal cavity is an articulation area, but not for letters. It's for sound. You clear? Gunna, yeah? So the gunna is found in the letters noon and meme. Is the articulation point for noon and meme the nasal cavity? The letters noon and meme, do they come from the nose?
Yes.
No. Okay. I said to you, it's the sound of the gunna which is made by the letter noon and the meme. Are you confused?
But the articulation point is different.
Is different.
Okay.
We're only talking here about the sound. The gunna sound comes from the nasal cavity. But the nasal cavity is not an articulation point for the letter noon and the letter meme. Okay. Are we clear?
Yeah.
Alhamdulillah. That's the first one. Okay. Then you have, if you go down, you have the lips. And the lips have 2 articulation points, but 4 letters. The nasal cavity only had 1 articulation point. Okay. Now you sound confused, but that's fine. Now why do I say 2 articulation points? You have what's called the inner lips, or the wet part of the lips, and you have the outer lips, or the dry part of the lips. Okay. And in there we have the letters waw, ba, mim, and fa. So if I ask you where do letters, what letters have as the origin the lips, you're going to say there are 4 letters, and these are the letters waw, ba, mim, and fa. Now you go in and you have the tongue, and the tongue is the organ which has the most articulation points, both in terms of general and specific. And the tongue has 18 letters. 18 letters come from the tongue, and there are various areas of the tongue, and I want to show you on the diagram first. You have, for example, the tip of the tongue. Yeah, you have the letters za, sin, sad. Also from the tip you have dal, tha, dha, ta, dal, and ta. And you also have noon and ra. Going to the middle, you have jim, sheen, and ya. And going to the back, you have kaf and qaf. On the side, you have lam and dad. Altogether, if you count, you're going to find there are 18 letters, but there are 10 articulation points. I know it sounds confusing. This is why I said, inshallah, this will be taught later in much more detail, and there are also terminologies for each of the articulation points. So we've covered 1, which is the nasal cavity, 2, the lips, and 3, the tongue. Now we're going to go to the 4th articulation point, and in the gray you will see you have an alif, you have a ya, and the waw. However, like with the nasal cavity, these are not necessarily letters. This is more what we call the stretch letters, the mud letters, the a, e, and the u. It is the lengthened letters which is the articulation point, and that is between the empty space of the mouth and the throat. So we're talking about here, if for example ba plus a becomes ba, the ba we know it comes from the lips, but the a part, that comes from the empty space of the mouth and the throat. You look confused, you should be. Okay, inshallah. All right, and then that was the fourth general articulation point, and then you go to the throat, and the throat has 3 articulation points for 6 letters. There are levels. So for example, the top throat, you have the letters kha and ghain. Middle throat, you have ha and ain, and then bottom throat, you have alif or hamzah, we talked about it, and ha, the other ha. Okay, and total, obviously not counting the sounds, is going to be 29 or 28 letters if you count, or it doesn't count, don't count the hamzah. Right, are we confused?
A little bit.
Yeah, would you like me to summarize?
Basically.
No, you're going to summarize for me inshallah later. We'll go through it again.
Inshallah.
Okay, now this is very important to understand, because you need to know where the letter is coming from to correct your pronunciation. Many times people don't sit and think, why am I making mistakes? So where's the letter? You have to know how to place your tongue very specific places to be able to pronounce the letter correctly. Okay, alhamdulillah. Still want to study? MashaAllah. All right, okay, now one question can be, how do you locate an articulation point exactly? And there's a few methods, and this book, the one that we were trying to study from, doesn't explain how to do that, but the Tajweed rules of the Quran, it does. And one way is to put a sukun on the letter, and before the letter you put a hamza with anything, a fatha, kasra, or dhamma. For example, you want to find the articulation point of ba. Okay, so you put a hamza, fatha, a, and then ba sukun, ab. The minute you start saying the letter ba, that's where the articulation point comes from. Does that make sense? For example, meme as well, same thing. Okay, makes sense. That's one way. Another way could be if you put a shadda on it, which is very similar, it's just more precise. And so wherever your tongue is touching, that's where the articulation point is. And true?
That's fine. Yeah.
Okay, but what did you get from this? Number one, there are 28 letters, including hamza would be 29.
Yeah.
2, there are 5 main areas of articulation points. Yeah, and you need to know the 5. So nasal cavity, lips, tongue, empty throat and mouth, the space between the empty throat and mouth, and throat.
The throat has 3 articulation points.
3 articulation points for 6 letters.
Okay, that's fine.
It will take you time to remember all of this stuff, and you don't necessarily need to remember the number and all that stuff to be able to even teach, because with practice you'll know everything without remembering, oh, how many articulation points. You don't need to. Okay, but it's good to know for you to correct your recitation. Now, what's important for you to remember is what we said. The nose, for example, is it an articulation point for letters?
No.
No. What is it?
It's just for the sound.
For the sound of?
Noon and meme.
Not the sound of noon and meme.
Ghunna.
The sound of ghunna, which comes from?
Nasal cavity.
Noon and meme.
Yeah.
So the noon and the meme has something, it has a sifa called ghunna. And the sound is produced from the nose,
Yeah.
but the nose is not the articulation point of noon and meme. And if you go back to the diagram, look, for example, meme. Here's the articulation point of meme. It's on the lips. And the noon is on the tongue.
But the noon is at
Oh, sorry, it's near to ra. It's near to
Yeah.
ra, noon and ra. Clear? And what about the cavity? Is alif, ya and waw, all the articulation points found in the empty throat and the mouth?
Yeah.
No. Alif is hamza. Hamza is down here.
just the sound, isn't it?
Again, it's the sound. Okay.
The med.
The mud, good. The ba is lips. The a part, that's where it is. So ba, bi, bu. We're talking here about the mud sound, which is there. Alhamdulillah. So today, we're going to end the lesson today here. So what we've done today is introduce the concept of the Arabic alphabets. With the Makhaarij, we talked about 5 general areas of articulation points. We also talked about how to find an articulation point, and we also mentioned that you should sit with a teacher to go into detail about each articulation point, which we're going to do at a later stage, inshallah. And we've advised that if you want to practice this, you should get a teacher, sit with them, even consider going back to Qaida and practice those lessons. I hope to see you, inshallah. If you have any questions, leave me a comment below. As usual, do remember, if there's any mistake, it's going to be from myself and from shaitan. If there's any goodness from today, it's going to be from Allah. And leave me a like, share this video to those who you think will benefit from it. Also consider subscribing so we can keep doing further videos. I've also made a request. If you want to donate to the project, there's a link below. It's through PayPal. It's paypal.me/HealMyTajweed, and inshallah join us on our journey. We're going to be trying to go to other masajids to present this course. I've mentioned that we're going to do a full Surah Al-Fatiha course as a taster course for any masjid who will receive us. And if you want us to come to your locality, you know what to do, get in touch with myself. As a last point, do remember I have a second channel, actually my first channel, called HealMyTech. I teach about tech stuff, nothing to do with Islam. So please go check it out and give it some love, inshallah. So as always, this was a pleasure. This was Ash from HealMyTajweed, helping you read, and brothers Arshad and Abdul Rahman. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.